there friends, welcome back to my channel and day 10 of our 13 days of Halloween series here at Polly's Paper Studio. If you'd like to check out the first 9 projects, you can find links for them at the top of the description so you can get caught up. And for today's project, we are doing a revisit and remake. And it is my hope to encourage you to see the bases that we create on these tutorials as a very versatile foundation for different projects. And so we have created a wallet style folio like this one in a previous Christmas tutorial, and I just wanted to show you how easy it is to change that up simply by changing out the collection that you use. So we're going to be using our Halloween collection, obviously, for 13 days of Halloween, but this has all kinds of fun inserts and the cut aparts from the collection. These are folded, so there are plenty of room for pictures and journaling, and you get a set of these inserts for each side. They tuck in here perfectly, and I think this would be a great way to capture all of your pictures and memories from October. So if you want to make a project just like this one, then stick with me and we will make it together. So for today's project, we're going to use this Hocus Pocus collection. It's from Carta Bella, one of my favorite brands. That quality of paper is top notch. I absolutely love it. And this is a fairly traditional color palette for this collection, although they did include some kind of bluey purple, and the images are very whimsical. So this is a very young at heart collection, and I am going to enjoy using it to create the folio for today. For the base of our wallet folio today, we're going to need just one sheet of 12 by 12 cardstock. In the original project, I used a 110-pound weight. For today's project, I switched to a 65-pound weight, and I think that it actually worked out a little bit better. It reduced some of the bulk, and the score lines were much easier to fold. And so you're going to add plenty of pattern paper to that. It will be very sturdy. And so there's just a couple of score lines here, and I'm going to share with you where the measurement is, but I've also written on here how much of a space is left. So hopefully that will be easier to understand. It's really not hard. It's just a lot of lines to score. So I'm going to take my first score line at 2.5, and that's all the way down. And then my second score is at 2 3/4, and then 7 3/4, and 8 1/4. And so this is going to leave me a 2.5-inch pocket, a 5-inch portion, which will be the page, and then a 3 3/4-inch flap that will fold over with 1/2 inch of space for all those paper layers. So once you get that side done, you want to turn it and then score again at 5 3/4 and 6 1/4. So this is going to give us the spine and the top portion that will fold over as a flap. I've also indicated here where you will want to cut and remove that portion. So this is going to be the flap when it's done, and then these will be the pockets on this side. I did find it quite a bit easier to get this lined up nicely if you cut it with a guillotine cutter, and you can just line that right on up. But for today, I'm just sharing this. I'm cutting it out with the scissor. Make sure you take your time to get everything nice and square. Will be. So you see I cut a pretty generous chunk out of that corner, and then I'm going to flip this onto the other side. What I'm removing now will be the portion that is the center of the pockets. So we don't want to add a lot of bulk there to prevent this from folding up correctly. And so I'm going all the way up to that second line of the scoring, and that's what we're going to have left. So we can just go ahead and fold this up now. This is going to be the spine. Use your bone folder when you do this so you can get a nice crisp edge. And then this will be the top of the flap that will fold over. So there's 2 folds here, and then you've got 2 folds at the bottom again for each side, and you're going to wind up with 1/4 of an inch of depth for your pocket. So do that for both sides. And now you need a way to seal up the sides of this. I've got 2 additional pieces of cardstock here. They are cut to be 2.5 high by 2 1/4 wide. I scored it at 1 and 1 1/4. And it will fold like this. This will be the outside. I put tape on this one. You'll want to use both tape and some Tombow so that it will be very well secured. And then it's easier, I think, to take the tape off of one side first and then line it up with the corner that will be at the bottom of the pocket. And you take your time to get a very good, precise placement here. And like I said, do a Tombow as well so it will be very secure. Then pull out your remaining paper backing for that and make sure that you've established that nice fold on your score line, and then bring the edge of the pocket right on to that score line. Flip it over maybe and make sure that you press that into place. So now you're going to have a pocket here, and then repeat that for this side as well. So you'll have 2 sections here, and then when you fold it up, all of the contents of those pockets will be captured inside of that section here. So let's go ahead and start to finish our folio. And like I said, change out your collection for whatever theme or holiday. It's just so easy and fun to cover a simple folio, and I can see this being used as a way to present gift cards or a small gift or something like that. So keep that in mind, as this is just very versatile. The first thing you want to do is skip that top flap because you want to add your trim on later. So we're going to cover the inside first. I'm picking patterns that will be very contrasting so that they are definite layering patterns. For this is 3 5/8 by 5 5/8. That's going to give us a nice border around. And then to cover the front and back, as well as the insides of the front and back, we have a different pattern, a different scale, and a different palette. So it will be a definite layering pattern. It's 4 7/8 by 5 5/8. It is easier to open your folio and work on these layers closer to the table. Might as well finish the back while we're at it. And then flip it over. Let's finish the back of these pocket sections as well. So I'm just going to slip that down into the pocket and then position it on the top so I get it exactly centered into the base. And then do this side as well. These bats remind me of Scooby-Doo. Okay, want to cover the front of the pocket as well, so we're going to go back to a different kind of pattern. And this is another stripe. It is a very vibrant, beautiful color palette. 2 3/8 high by 5 5/8 wide. Get that centered as best you can. And there is an additional one for this side as well. Okay, now you've got your base covered. We can move along to the inserts. So the plan for filling the pockets is to work from the largest to the smallest, from the back to the front, so you can see all those fun paper layers. So we're going to start with a cardstock measurement of 4 3/4 by 5 1/2. And I want to utilize some of the really fun cut aparts from the collection. So this would have been a 4 by 6, and I did cut that down to fit within this space. It's still a little bit too short, and I'm gonna fill this gap with this pattern paper. So what you want to arrive at is a measurement of 4 5/8 high by 5 3/8 wide, and you can join your papers together if you want to, but on the back you can also go ahead and finish that. Might as well use up some of those papers that you've already cut into, and this is going to be a great place for a larger photo. If you're using this as a memory keeping book, then you can put bigger things on the back. So here is our first insert that will be in the back pocket. Put that right in here. You can see how well that fills that space. And I've prepared another one for the left-hand side as well. This also reminds me of Scooby-Doo, and put that same stripe on the back. So this one will go into the left-hand side. The next insert is going to be folded. So we're starting with a cardstock measurement of 5 inches high by 9 inches wide and scored at 4.5. I'm going to cover the inside and the outside with the same pattern. This is going to be 4 3/8 by 4 7/8. You don't have to match all of these patterns. This would be a great way to work through some of a collection that you don't want to add to your stash. But I would probably recommend the 2 pages that show together could match, and that would be a good way to keep it coordinated. So I'm just going to go ahead and match mine for the purpose of this project. Then we can add it to our pocket. For the last and smallest insert, it is also folded, and I wanted to use more of those image cut aparts from the collection. So I'm starting with my cardstock being a 4 by 6 and scored at 3, and then my images are going to be 3 7/8 by 2 7/8, and I'm just going to put the journal card image on the front and then fill in the rest with the offcuts that I had from cutting that flap for the front cover. So this little sassy cat is going on the inside as well as the back. That goes in the pocket as well. And here's one for the left-hand side, more of that cat here, so that I could use up the offcuts. So this is going to be the inside of our wallet folio. Let's go ahead and work on that front flap. Now you can see it will be easier to adhere things because it's full and it will be supported underneath that weight. So I'm going to pull out this beautiful bold black check from Really Reasonable Ribbon, and I'm putting it as a closure here to tie up the top flap. So make sure to give yourself enough so that you can tie a generously sized bow. I'm just going to tack that on with a small amount of hot glue. Remember, we're using that same beautiful stripe as on the inside of the flap, and so this is going to be the same measurement, 3 5/8 high by 5 5/8 wide, and this will capture that trim between the pattern paper and the book base. So the next layer is going to be a small section where I can increase the real estate for the cover so I can add all of those beautiful finishing details that I like. So this is going to be a square of 4 by 4 cardstock. The pattern paper is 3 7/8 by 3 7/8. I layered mine just so that I could have extra detail, but you can choose to use just one sheet for that. Because it's going to hang over the edge, I don't want to have adhesive all the way down here so I don't accidentally seal it up. I do want to use my 2 glue combo though, because this will be a place where you'll be tying that bow, so you want it to be extra secure. I'm just going to offset that and then press that into place while that glue sets up. Now we've increased the space, we can add some fun details. Here is a doily cut from a Gina Marie Designs die. Crisp white is always a good choice so that you can break up busy paper patterns and make your focal images really pop out. And that is what I did for this. Super fun Bugs and Kisses image was part of a 4x4 cut apart, and I just cut that with a circle and then used a layering die to create a border. This is on a spacer, so we can get a little dimension here. I think that looks so sweet in the middle of that white doily. Okay, back to our trimming now. We're gonna have a flower arrangement on this side, and I just utilize more of those Luna flowers from Prima. As I mentioned in my last video, I took out the center so that it wasn't yellow. I don't think that coordinates very well for Halloween. And then I took off the beaded portion as well, just to remove a little bit of bulk. Some die cut leaves from black cardstock, so they coordinate very well. Some twine and netting to fill that in, and then a bow created with the same ribbon as our tying closure. And you see how well that will fit now because we have added extra room with this additional layering piece. So let's put that on with our hot glue. It only seems right to add a spider web charm to our spider themed folio. Just adding that with a little string in the hot glue, and then top that cut string with a button. Okay, now it's time for our sequins, and you all know that means it is also time for the question of the day. Would you rather go to a corn maze or go apple picking? So I am going to vote for corn maze. We used to go every year when our boys were in Scouts, and so that's just a fun tradition that I remember when my boys were little. So let me know in the comments, what is your pick? Would you rather go to a corn maze or go apple picking? And that's all for Folio for day 10. If you enjoyed this project, make sure you come back tomorrow for day 11. Remember, you can find links in the top of the description for the products I mentioned, as well as for our social media sites. So don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And as always, I'm wishing you a happy and productive day, and I thank you so much for watching. Bye.